A great way to know if an organization is actually solving problems or if they're just exploiting the problem is whether or not they're open to collaboration and whether or not they're inviting transparency, meaning actually answering questions clearly with tangible results and measurable impact instead of intangible things like awareness and supporting survivors. But when we look into it, we can't really quantify that impact, right? That should be a red flag, especially when their output doesn't match their input, meaning they've raised millions of dollars, they claim to support survivors, but when you ask them to explain, they're just kind of intangibly not specific about their answer, right? So I want people to understand a lot of organizations have a us versus them mentality, or like almost competitive instead of collaborative when it comes to solving problems. If people are profiting off a problem, exploiting problems, right, raising millions of dollars, not solving the problems they're claiming to solve, they're exploiting the problem, which makes them part of the problem, but it also reduces their incentive to actually solve the problem, because if the problem goes away, so does their money, right? So these organizations can often, a lot of times they start with good intent and they can become greedy or whatever happens that allows them to be so corrupted. The point is that a lot of times they turn very heated into shaming people who question them. Now, this is very consistent with a cult-like mentality or a similar playbook where if you're not for us, you're against us, right? And if you question us, you're just wrong and you're bad and you're negative and it's not consistent with people who are open to not only questions, but who are actively seeking solutions. Because people who are really here to solve problems, we know that like we don't have all the answers and we can't do it all alone. We're also not the only ones out here solving problems or doing it right? And everyone is certainly not wrong. Like, let's just evaluate that belief system because it's not logical, right? But there are a lot of organizations that will perpetuate that messaging, often with a religious tone, because like you have to have God to heal or Jesus to heal or whatever. Like, oh, they're not trauma informed. They're not actually there to actually help. They just have this lens or, this bias that sort of controls their narrative. And if the real problems and solutions don't support their narrative, a lot of times these people won't be interested in those solutions. You see where I'm going with this? So to know whether or not people are real about solving problems, right? Are they open to working with experts? Are they open to collaborating and to like opening their doors and being transparent with people? Or do they seem to have a lot to hide? Are they also hiding behind a lot of intangible, like, spiritual battle, spiritual warrior type intangible claims and assumptions and just sort of these theories that aren't necessarily grounded in facts and much less measurable results? I've worked with a lot of these organizations, and look, unfortunately, a lot of them are part of the problem. So I want you to let me know in the comments, did I miss anything? What are some of the ways that you vet nonprofits? And what are some of your questions about it?